Celina ISD leaders are meeting tomorrow night for the first time since a third-party investigation found systemic issues in the district.
The district commissioned the report after the arrest of Moore Middle School coach Caleb Elliott. He's facing several different charges, sex charges specifically, over alleged recordings in the boys' locker room. The district says the third-party report did not uncover evidence that anyone knew what was going on before the arrest, but it did uncover some uncomfortable issues. Other issues specifically, Fox 4's Amelia Jones spoke with a state lawmaker who wants some changes. Amelia.
Heather, Steve, I spoke with the attorney and Texas House Representative Mitch Little, who is representing several of the families of the victims in a lawsuit against Celina ISD. He says there are more witnesses who knew about Caleb Elliott's behavior before this school year and who should have been interviewed by the investigator. However, in the report that was released, Little was most surprised to discover the depth of Bill Elliott's control. Just days after Celina ISD's Friday night release of a much-anticipated third-party report into the district's handling of the Caleb Elliott matter, area leaders are honing in on some of the findings. The heavily redacted 84-page report found no evidence that employees knew of or ignored prior misconduct by Caleb Elliott. But it did find evidence of systemic issues inside the district, particularly the far-reaching power of now former head football coach and athletic director Bill Elliott.
I think it should be shocking and horrifying to anybody who's taking a look at it.
Texas House Representative and attorney Mitch Little is representing several families of the victims in a lawsuit against Celina ISD. While Little is critical of the report, stating that not all the appropriate witnesses were interviewed, he believes the report does help paint a picture of the culture within the district. Among the discoveries, the influence Bill Elliott had over his son Caleb Elliott getting hired at Moore Middle School. Bill Elliott and former Moore Middle School principal Allison Jin exchanged text messages about Caleb's interview for a position before he even submitted an application. The report mentions during the hiring process, other remarks were made about Caleb Elliott's lack of maturity and concerns that he failed his certification test several times. Witnesses, redacted out of fear for retaliation, told the investigator that one time Bill Elliott and Jin got in a shouting match over it. And during the argument, Bill Elliott alleged Jin was not acting, quote, the Celina way.
Well, I think what the people of Celina are finding out about the Celina way is that there's a lot of dysfunction embedded in that culture, and maybe the Celina way needs to be something a little bit different.
The report found that Moore Middle School did not regularly review and evaluate teachers. Jin even hired Caleb Elliott's boyfriend, a recent graduate of Celina High School, at the middle school. The investigator also discussed concerns about Bill Elliott continuing to oversee the athletics program, which some of his son's alleged victims participate in.
And I think it's incumbent upon us as state officials to find something that will help our public school system find its motivation to protect these kids.
One day after the report was given to the school board, Bill Elliott announced his retirement, and Allison Jin resigned from her position as principal at Moore Middle School. Tomorrow night, there is a school board meeting. It's the first time the public will have a chance to address the board